get started with introductions. I'm Katie Merrill. I'm the Director of Admissions at Vermont Law School, and it's such a pleasure to be here. I am thrilled that we launched our online hybrid JD program. A lot of work went into it, and it's an outstanding program. I'm joined today by our Director of our online programs, Richard Sala. I'm joined by our Interim President and Dean, Beth McCormack. I'm joined by our Assistant Director, Shirley Crawford in admissions, our Assistant Director, Eleonora Moffitt in admissions, and Kate, our admissions counselor extraordinaire. So we're here today to answer your questions and give you insight on what a wonderful program this is. I'm going to pass off the programming to Dean McCormack.
Good evening, potential online hybrid students. My name is Beth McCormack. I'm the Interim President and Dean of Vermont Law School and also a professor of law. I teach civil procedure, and if you join us in our hybrid program, you'll likely see me in the fall teaching Civil Procedure 1. I wanted to start today's meeting by how I like to start all important meetings, which is to remind me and the participants of Vermont Law School's mission. It's to educate students in a diverse community that fosters personal growth and that enables them to attain outstanding professional skills and high ethical values with which to serve as lawyers and environmental and other professionals in an increasingly technological and interdependent global society. I like to start with the mission to remind everyone who we are and what we stand for. Another slogan at Vermont Law School that you hear a lot is that we're law for the community and the world. I've been at the law school for about 11 years. Prior to that, I practiced law in Boston, and I thought I would tell you the 3 reasons that I really love this program and I love Vermont Law School in hopes that they might be helpful to you as you make a decision about whether to apply. The first reason that I love Vermont Law School is what I just read to you, our mission. We are an easy school to love in that way because we have specialties and expertise in two of the areas that address the most pressing problems facing the country and the world today: climate change, environmental protection, and justice reform. We have grown up with the environmental movement. We're one of the first schools to start practicing in environmental law and teaching students in environmental law. And we have the deepest environmental program of any ABA-accredited law school. We're also the only law school that has a restorative justice program as part of our school. And our online hybrid JD program allows students to specialize in one of those 2 areas. There aren't that many hybrid programs out there that are approved by the ABA. We're one of them, of course, but we're the only one that has specialties in environmental law and restorative justice. And I love working here because I love being around so many students and faculty and staff that are devoted to that mission. And I think you will too if you join our program. The second reason that I love our program is that we have deep experience with online education that has lasted over a decade. So for over a decade, we have offered fully online master's degrees in environmental law, and then more recently in restorative justice and some other areas of environmental law. So we're deeply experienced with offering online education and meeting the needs of students in the online world. And that experience only deepened with 18 months of virtual teaching. It felt like 18 years, virtual teaching during the pandemic. We really learned how to bring our Vermont Law School community online in ways that we hadn't had to do before. And I'm really excited that you're going to get the benefits of that because we really learned what worked best in the online environment. And we learned one of the things that worked best was asynchronous classes later in the program, but synchronous classes for those first fundamental JD courses. And so that's why our program is unique in that way, that those core JD classes are going to be offered synchronously, which is going to allow you to really have good one-on-one interactions with our professors. And it's going to allow you to really form a camaraderie with your classmates and really get to know Vermont Law School. The third thing that I really love about Vermont Law School and our online program is our community. As I said, we have been teaching online for a long time, and so we're really good at making sure that online students feel supported. And that goes from our library to our career services department, to our academic success program, to all of our co-curricular and curricular activities and our student groups. We are adept at making sure the students in the online programs that we've already offered and that we're going to continue to offer have equal access to all of those key services that make getting your degree at an institution a pleasure. So one of the mottos that we have at Vermont Law School for our students is that swans fly together. Our students are called swans. And we really look forward to getting to know all of you and welcoming you into the Vermont Law School family. I would love to now introduce to you Professor Richard Sala, who is the director of our online programming and the director of our hybrid JD. And he's going to tell you a little bit more detail about what you can expect with the program. And then all of us will be available over the next hour to answer any questions that you might have. So thank you for attending. And with that, Professor Sala.
Thank you so much, Dean McCormack. I'm just going to take a second here and share a PowerPoint presentation. So just bear with me for 1 second. Okay. So we're going to keep it. We're going to get right to the heart of the online hybrid JD program. I just wanted to start by introducing myself. So again, my name is Professor Richard Sala. I joined the Vermont Law faculty in 2018. Prior to joining the faculty at Vermont Law, I served in the United States Marine Corps for 21 years. I spent about half that time as a infantry officer and the other half as a judge advocate. While I was serving as a judge advocate, I served 2 years as a criminal prosecutor. And then I served as general counsel to the commander of Marine Rotational Force Darwin in Australia. Came back to the United States and served as general counsel to the commanding general of 1st Marine Division out in California. And then I finished up my time at the University of Rochester, training young officers who were aspiring to get a commission. From there, I headed off to the New Hampshire Department of Justice. I served as general counsel to the New Hampshire Commissioner of the Department of Education. And from there, joined the faculty at Vermont Law. Again, I'm the director of online programs at Vermont Law. I also teach national security law and constitutional law. Excited to be here with you tonight. So let's get into the online hybrid JD program. First thing we want to make sure you know is we're going to deliver this program through a mixture of online classes. We're going to have residential sessions where we bring you to Vermont. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But this online program is going to provide the same rigorous legal education that the school is providing for our residential students. First of all, it's the same faculty. Okay, so all those synchronous courses that you're going to have, all those live courses in person with a professor, just like you're listening to me right now, are going to be with the same faculty that teach our residential students. And then we're going to slowly transition to some hybrid or asynchronous courses. And those are taught by the same faculty that our residential students would have if they decided to take online courses, which many of them do. Over 3/4 of our residential students take online programming while they're here at Vermont Law. And you're going to get in with the same faculty that our residential students get in with. In other words, for this program, we have tried to achieve parity in every way possible. Second thing, how long does it take? It takes about 3 years and change. You have 10 semesters. You're going to have 3 4-day residential periods in Vermont. And what does that look like? So for example, if you started in August of 2022, then you're going to graduate in December of 2025. Okay. Semesters, what can you expect? Well, every semester is going to be a little bit different. We're going to start out a little bit heavier. You're going to have some classes on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We're going to have those classes in the evenings. Generally, those classes will go from 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to about 7:45. Some of them might stretch out to 8:45, depending on the particular course and how many credits the course is worth. Again, we're running on Eastern Standard Time, right? So we're talking about 6:30 to 7:45 p.m. A couple of times we have 6:15 to 8:45 p.m., 6:15 to 8:05 p.m. So right in that sweet spot that allows you to continue along if you're with your job and still make it in the evenings to class. Like I said, every semester is going to be a little different. We're going to start out Monday to Thursday. But as the years go on and as you get closer to graduation, we're gonna gear down a little bit. We're gonna have some Monday and Wednesday semesters, some semesters with just Mondays. And the way we're able to achieve that is by a really good mix of synchronous courses and asynchronous courses. Okay, and there's two that you could think about. There's a 7-week course, and then they're breaking up into 2 terms. So if you're taking a term 1 course, that's going to start at the beginning of the semester, and halfway through the semester, that's going to end. And then you might pick up another asynchronous course that's 7 weeks. And so that would start in the middle of the semester, and that would end at the end of the semester. And then you might have a mix of full term courses in there where you're in that class for the full 14 weeks. That would be traditional for law school. Okay. So again, 10 semesters, including summers. And if you started in August of 2022, then you're going to graduate in December of 2025. Pathways. So we built this program out with particular interests in mind. And like Dean McCormack said, focused on some of the more critical or the most critical things facing our communities today. Dealing with the environment, dealing with energy. How do we deliver energy? How do we make the energy grid safer? How do we make the energy grid so that it's being mindful of the environment? Food and agriculture, and then restorative justice. So these are the pathways. When you come in, if you matriculate into the program, you're immediately going to be handed a curriculum that's going to take you all the way through your program. So if you started in August 2022, the day you start the program, you know every class you're going to take all the way through December 2025 when you graduate. Okay. So these are the pathways. You can think about which of these pathways interest you. And then you could talk to the various admissions admission folks about what you're interested in and let them know. The residential periods, we're going to bring you in for 4-day residential periods. Generally speaking, you're going to fly into Vermont, or maybe you're already here, but you're going to come into Vermont on a Thursday. We'll have some kind of reception. Friday and Saturday, we can expect to be in classes all day. In there with the faculty live, getting that residential experience, getting that feel of what it's like to be in the law school classroom. And we're going to vary the residential periods up so that you get to see a lot of Vermont, right? We don't want to just bring you here, put you in a room, and then send you back and you never got to see Vermont. So the first residential period is going to take place in Burlington, Vermont. You can see a picture of Church Street right there on the slide. We're going to build in some extracurricular activities. For the first residential period, we plan on doing a dinner cruise on Lake Champlain on the Spirit of Ethan Allen. We're also going to get your cohort together, out to dinner on your own for an opportunity to get to know each other. So first residential period, Burlington, Vermont, great place. You fly right into Burlington. That second residential period, we want to bring you home. We want to bring you to our campus in South Royalton, our main campus. Give you an opportunity to be around the community, around the residential students, with our faculty. This would be a summer residential period. It's a great time to visit. When you're not in class, you can tube the White River. You can see what there is to see and explore the area. Vermont's a beautiful state. And that third residential period, we plan to bring you to the state's capital, to Montpelier. And so you'll finish your time there with a residential period and a capstone event. And you'll learn more about that once you are in the program. But the capstone event is oral arguments, just like you would see before the Supreme Court here in Vermont, in Montpelier, about a case that's currently pending before the Supreme Court. So we believe that'll be a good experience and a good capstone event for you. I want to take a minute here and talk about the bar exam. So what we want you to know is if you matriculate into the online hybrid JD program, our commitment to you doesn't end the day that you graduate. We're actually going to pay for you to take the bar exam preparation course through Kaplan, which is a major bar preparation course company. We're going to keep you as a cohort. We're going to have you study together. We're going to bring you back virtually for 3-hour sessions with our professors to answer questions and to go over multiple choice questions. And we're going to walk you to the gates. We're going to be with you every step of the way, all the way until the bar exam. And then the day you sit down, you'll be prepared. You'll knock out that 2-day bar exam, and then you'll be headed to licensure. So we're going to make sure this is a key component of our program. Very often, students at the end of graduation, they have to pay $1,500, $2,000 for a bar preparation course. But we're going to do that for you, keep you together, and get you across the finish line. So that's an overview of the Online Hybrid JD program. Super excited to hear your questions. And Katie, I think I'll turn it back over to you and we can field any questions that we have.
Thank you, Professor Sala. One question that I have that the students might be interested in, what does the fall semester look like? Do you have kind of a general idea of the courses that they might take and what times those are?
I do, fall 2022. So you're going to have 4 courses. You're going to have legislation and regulation. That's going to be a synchronous course. So that's going to be a course where you're live with your professor synchronously, just like we are right now. That's what we mean when we say synchronously at a set time on a set day. Second course that you're going to take is Civil Procedure 1. You're going to be taking Civil Procedure with Dean McCormack. That'll also be synchronously here, just like we're doing this right now. And then the other 2 classes are Legal Writing 1, which is really a foundational course. We cannot emphasize enough. You'll see throughout our curriculum that we strongly emphasize writing. And the second course that you're going to take is called Writing for Exams. And that course really serves 2 purposes. One, to start preparing you for those your first semester exams, but also to start preparing you for the bar exam the very first semester in law school. We want you to start understanding what it's like to write and use legal analysis in a time-constrained environment right out the gate, right? Issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. You'll be very familiar with that by the time you're finished with that first semester. Those are the 4 courses. Like I said, those first 2 courses are synchronous. They are going to meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the evening, ballpark between 6:30 and 8. I'm still finalizing some details on that. The other 2 courses, you'll start those asynchronously, and then you'll join us here in Vermont from September 8th to September 11th for the residential period, and you will have a residential component of all the courses we're talking about. So you will get some live classroom time in CivPro, in legislation and regulation, in legal writing, in writing for exams. Then once you head back home after that residential period, the writing courses will transition to asynchronous learning, although you'll have many live conversations and meetings and office hours with your writing professors. But civil procedure and legislation and regulation will continue on synchronously. So you'll continue to join just like this.
Thank you. Can you go over the concentrations of the program and also touch a little bit on restorative justice so people have an idea of what restorative justice is and how we teach restorative justice at Vermont Law?
I'll do my best. So the 4 pathways, you can see them up on your screen. So we have environmental law, energy law, food and agricultural law, and restorative justice. Restorative justice really, when we talk about restorative justice, we're talking about facilitating rehabilitation of people who have perhaps committed crimes or done other things wrong. And we do that by facilitating a conversation between the victim of the crime and the accused. And that's really, again, I don't teach in the restorative justice courses, but that is my understanding of restorative justice. And we do lots of interesting courses like restorative justice in public school education, different courses like dealing with domestic violence and sexual assault. And so that's kind of a very wave top overview of restorative justice. But again, the 4 pathways right there on your screen: environmental law, energy law, food and agriculture, and restorative justice.
I'll just add to that description of restorative justice and take this moment to brag a little bit that the National Center on Restorative Justice is hosted right here at Vermont Law School. It's a partnership with UVM and the University of San Diego, and it's right here. We're really the only law school that has a restorative justice program. Professor Sala is exactly right. It's an approach to justice that really addresses harm within the community. It has applications in criminal law. It has applications in corporate law. It has applications in higher education as well, and in secondary education and public schools as well. And I think that Genevieve in the chat has put in a link so you can learn more about the National Center on Restorative Justice, as well as our Center for Justice Reform at Vermont Law School.
Thank you. Professor Sala, can you talk a little bit about the experiential component of the online hybrid program and also clubs, activities, anything along that are the co-curricular aspects of the program?
Absolutely. So again, one of the things we tried to do was achieve parity in as many ways as we possibly could. So first of all, we're dealing, the American Bar Association requires that everybody who graduates from law school achieves at least 6 credit hours in experiential learning. And there's 2 ways to do that. One way is through simulated courses. Many schools across the country, just about every law school in the country, allows students to achieve those experiential credits through simulated courses. And you might do transactional law, you might do courtroom type work, you might write a client letter, you might draft an opening or closing statement. So really going to run the gamut. So for those students who are working and don't have the time to do some kind of externship or something like that, we're gonna take you through those experiential courses, 3 different blocks of experiential courses. That'll be a hybrid approach. Some of it will be synchronous, some of it will be asynchronous. And that's how you'll achieve those experiential credits. If you're able to, if you have the time in your schedule, or you decide, hey, I'm going to focus full time on my education. I'm not going to work anymore. I'm going to focus on my schooling, and you have the time, or even maybe the job where you work is willing to allow you to do an internship to get those experiential credits, then we're going to work with you to allow you to do that. So really both options are on the table for students. We just got to be communicating and do some good advising and really know that you want to do it. So that'll happen periodically throughout the course of your time at Vermont Law. We'll be in touch. We'll be talking about, how your courses are going. What is it you want to achieve? How can we support you? And if you say, hey, I don't need to do I don't need to do the simulated courses. I want to actually find an externship out here or find some kind of experiential experience. Then we're going to support you in that. So that's everything about those experiential credits. With regards to our different programming, joining student groups, getting onto the law review, getting onto the environmental journals, all of that is going to be available to you. Every time that the residential students, the online hybrid JD program follows the same calendar as the residential program. When they get a session from career services, when they get a session from our academic success program, which is there to support you in your studies throughout your time at Vermont Law School, you're going to get the same session. You're going to get the same session. So when it comes to extracurriculars, when an email comes out and says, hey, it's time to write on to the journal, you're going to get that email. You're going to be able to write on to the journal. We're going to give you very specific instructions on how to do that. And when we have an event on campus and we're hosting guest speakers and things like that, you're going to find out. You're going to get those emails just like the residential students. And we're going to bring you in just like we are now, BTC, or teleconference, or by Zoom, by Teams. So we're going to keep you involved as much as we can about in all the things that are happening residentially. We want to get you there. We want to have you be a part of the community, have you interacting with our residential students. And so we're going to, and if you hear about something and you want to be a part of it and we hadn't thought of it, then we're going to make adjustments. We're going to get you involved. So hopefully that answers the question, Katie.
Thank you. I have a number of questions. As you noticed, when the prospective students entered, they're from everywhere. And so the students are interested in, can they take the bar in all states? I am going to say, I'm sorry, New Yorkers, New York doesn't allow online credits, but can you talk a little bit about after taking the bar and career services?
Absolutely. So the short version is New York is the only state in the union where you wouldn't be able to earn your degree through the online hybrid JD program and then get barred in New York. Every other jurisdiction, you're going to be just fine. New York has a special rule. I would imagine at some point in time they're going to get rid of that rule, but as of right now, but every other jurisdiction is going to be available. Again, like I said before, for our online hybrid JD students, we're going to keep that cohort together. We're going to study for the bar. Many of you will sit in what we call the uniform. You'll take the uniform bar exam. The uniform bar exam is what is used by almost all of the jurisdictions. There's some outliers. Some states still have their own state bar exam that they have, like Florida, Georgia, California. But many states have moved to the uniform bar exam, and you can take the uniform bar exam in the state that you're in, if it's a UBE state, and then you can transfer that score anywhere you want as long as you achieve the score on it for the state where you want to go. So let me give you an example. Let's imagine that you sat for the bar exam in Vermont. Vermont requires you to have a 270. So let's say you score a 270, and then you want to go practice in Alaska. Well, Alaska scores a 280, so you wouldn't be able to practice there, but you could practice anywhere else. Now, let's say you sit for the bar exam in Vermont and you need a 270 and you get a 281, and you want to transfer that uniform bar exam score to Alaska. Well, then you can, because you got a 281 and Alaska requires a 280. For those of you who are taking the bar exam in states that do not administer the UBE, don't worry. We're going to keep you in our cohort. You're going to get the Kaplan is going to provide you with a little bit different bar preparation course that focuses on the state that you want to be licensed in. But you're still going to stay with the cohort. We're still going to support you. We're still going to carry you across the finish line. We're going to get you to the door, and that's as far as we can take you. Once we get you to the door of the bar exam, unfortunately, we can't go in there and take it for you. You got to do that one on your own. So career services is going to be an amazing resource to you, just like it is to our residential students. They're going to do all kinds of things for you. They're going to help you get your resume together. They're going to tell you about jobs that are out there. They're going to ask you about your interests over the course of your time in the program. They're going to meet with you. They're going to do mock interviews for those of you who are trying to transition into the legal community. What does it feel like to be interviewed by attorneys? We're going to have our alumni. The career services goes out. They find alumni from all over the country. Our alumni are very gracious. They agreed to interview our students all the time, and you're going to get that mock interview in. So career service is going to do really great things for you to get you ready for that transition once you have that JD in hand, achieve licensure, and you head out into the workforce.
Thank you. There's a couple of questions about the program as far as, can you move into the residential? Can you speed it up? Can you do 2 years? And also the rigors of the program. Is it realistic that you could work full time and do this program? There's a whole bunch. I'm throwing a whole bunch at you.
Yeah, that's good. I'll just kind of field them one at a time. So let me start with the first thing. Once you're in the once you're in the online hybrid JD program, it's going to be very difficult to transition out of that program. And the reason is in order to put this together and to make it available in the evening and to fit the right courses together, you just can't. It's not as easy as just transitioning, because if you're a residential student, you took your first 16 credit hours that first semester. You have all kinds of courses under your belt. If you tried to transition into the residential program, you would be really behind. It would be very difficult to figure out a path forward. So you really want to be committed to this program. There's not a way to speed it up. Again, for the same reasons, in order to fit the right courses and the right slots to get to 87 credits, by December 2025, if you started in August 2022, we really had to piece them together. And that is a good segue for me to talk about the rigors of the program. One of the reasons that we only offer up to 10 credits in the online hybrid JD program, and one of the reasons we have you meet a little bit longer in the evenings for 2 days a week instead of, let me just give you an example. If you're in a residential course that's 4 credits, you would meet 3 times a week. Well, we couldn't do that with the online hybrid JD program. We had to think through these things, because the question would become, when are you going to read, right? If we want working professionals to be able to earn their JDs, well, they're working during the day, and we would have you in class in the evening. So we had to think about, when were you going to read? And so that's the reason that we fit those classes into those 4 days, and then into 3 days, and then into 2 days, and really whittling it down as we get further on in the program, is to make sure that you have plenty of time to read and prepare for class, so that we can set you up for success, and make sure that we can get you across the stage on graduation day, which we sincerely hope you will do in South Royalton, Vermont, with us on the green in beautiful South Royalton, Vermont. Our graduations are amazing. Mountains in the background. The weather is almost always beautiful. And so anyway, so again, that makes transitioning or speeding up virtually impossible. The rigors of the program, again, we built it so that you would have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to really focus in on reading, to prepare for the courses that you have. This course is absolutely doable for working professionals, but it is a grind. Law school, it is not an easy endeavor. That's no different for residential students than it is for our online hybrid JD students, and there's no reason for me to pretend that's not so. To work and go to law school, you have to be committed to your own success, committed to the reason that you chose to go to law school, and really keep your eye on the prize.
In your opinion, what do you think is an ideal hybrid candidate? I know it's
a good question. No, I don't. I'll do it. I'll do it, Katie. I'm not afraid. Ideal online hybrid JD candidate is someone who has a deep passion for getting their JD for whatever reason that is. It's your reason, whatever reason that is, a deep passion for it. Very disciplined, very organized, and good time management skills. And anybody out there who's in the military or was in the military right now is like, oh, I've heard this before, right? So, but that's what it is: discipline, time management, organization, and then a dose of grit and perseverance, and then you'll be successful.
And reliable internet.
Oh, reliable internet is a good one. That's true.
I'm going to take a few scholarship questions, and when you apply to the online hybrid JD, and if you're admitted, you're automatically given a scholarship. And so that's something to take into consideration, that there are some scholarship funding available. You can also, even though the program is online hybrid, there's also funds available to provide cost of living if you need to supplement maybe a little bit of your work income. Another question, if you guys have more questions about scholarships, sorry, I get distracted by the chat, but let me know. But that will be automatically issued once you're admitted to the program. And we're happy to talk to you about how the funding works, how billing works, and tuition, etc. The students are very interested in our job placements. One of the questions is, does Vermont law's ranking affect job recruitment? So that's a question. Do you want to take that, Dean McCormack?
I could take that one. Sure. Yeah. Just having recently filed our career placement numbers with the ABA this year for the class of 2021, we have a 81% job placement right now, and that's for 9 months after graduation. And so those numbers improve over time, but for right now we're at 81%, which is quite good. Of course, we want 100%, but 81% is good. And I also wanted to point out that career services helps you every step of the way finding a job, whether you're an online student or not. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
I'd also like to say I went to Vermont Law School, and I was able to serve as a judge advocate, and I was hired into the New Hampshire Department of Justice. And I've never had anybody say anything, that would lead me to believe that you wouldn't be successful having gone to Vermont Law School and going out to get work. And I've had lots of colleagues actually that I've bumped into from Vermont Law School. The first person in the office to my left, when I was a judge advocate, when I was a prosecutor, was a guy named Jack Souter, who got his LLM here in environmental law at Vermont Law School. And my supervisor, when I joined the New Hampshire Department of Justice, was also a Vermont law grad.
I would add one more thing too, is that I think that the December graduation actually helps job placement, because most JD students will graduate in May and then take the bar in July. And so everyone's sort of licensed at the same time, which is around the fall. In your situation, assuming you graduate in December, you take the bar in February, you're licensed right before sort of every ABA-accredited law school has their graduation, which I think does give you a leg up on some entry-level jobs.
Thank you. I'm really interested in your response to this question. I know that for most JD programs, there's a focus on undergraduate program and grades. As a non-traditional student interested in the online JD program, is graduate work taken into consideration? I have my master's in public administration. And I can tell you, yes, as far as admissions goes, we really do look at your graduate work, especially in the hybrid program. A number of the applicants we're seeing have graduate degrees. They are been in the workforce a little bit, have the undergraduate and master's degrees, and it's a great background. And the one thing, I don't know if you two can talk a little bit about this. As professors, can you talk a little bit about where students come from with VLS? Because they all have various undergrad degrees, master's degrees. What do you see as professors when these students come in and their backgrounds?
Really, just across the gamut. We have older students, second career students that have had careers prior to that, careers as teachers, careers as policy workers, careers in politics. We have students that are right out of college at times as well. And so it really is quite varied. All sorts of degrees, science majors, especially, are often attracted to our environmental programs, sometimes criminal justice, political science type majors, English majors. I have one student right now in my class who used to be a professional actress. So it really just varies, and all sorts of students with different backgrounds are attracted to Vermont Law School. And I would say that sometimes people that haven't been a student for a while do struggle getting back into school mode. And that's why we designed this exam writing class that you'll be taking in your first semester here to really help get used to the law school method of teaching. And our academic success program, as I've mentioned previously, is really top notch, and you can think of them as academic coaches. And so they're available for one-on-one or workshop meetings to help you adjust to law school if you've been out of education for a while, or for any reason, really.
Thank you. There was a comment in the chat. Sometimes the chat moves so fast I can't catch it, but there was a comment in the chat about PhD. And Professor Sala, we have admitted a person with a PhD. So we do have some doctors in the class, in the new hybrid class. We're capped at 20 students this year, and it's a really shaping up. We've admitted about 7 students, have 4 deposited, and various backgrounds, all different ages. I can't even describe like one particular thing in common, other than that. What you said, Professor Solid, they're really dedicated to obtaining a JD. We're going to talk a little bit about LSAT. The LSAT is required for this program, and it's there's a question about registered for June 2022. Terrific. I agree, Alexandra. Apply by May 15th, and then hopefully your score comes in and we can turn that application quickly. We're trying to read hybrid applications relatively quickly so we can get an answer. It's interesting because we have a cap. And it's our first year. I don't know how quickly the class will fill up, but I think what you're doing will be ideal. I love the fact that you don't really have to come to campus other than for September. So it gives you time and gives us time. So keep at it. Here's a shameless plug. Khan Academy is a great free tool to study for the LSAT. So I would recommend that. And I'd also recommend 7 Sages. It does cost a little money, but about, I would say, 12 weeks prior, it's a really great tool. You turn it on and you can turn it off. So it's a good mix, and it's not too expensive as far as LSAT prep goes. Sorry, I had a long day. I started early at 7:30, and so I'm a little mixing up my bar prep and LSAT prep. All right. Is there, Genevieve, do you see any questions in the chat that may need to be answered or addressed?
I saw a note in there. Katie said a past employee of mine was a graduate of Vermont Law School, and it was obvious to me that her learning was top notch. I just noticed that one.
So I have to say, being in admissions, students apply to VLS. One, if they're an advocate. If you're an advocate, you'll find your way to VLS. Two, they meet someone, an alum, and they know the quality of students that we produce. It's Dee McCormack and Professor Sala. They kick out some really great attorneys. And so that's really why, I don't know, Dee McCormack and Professor Sala, that Fido is new and alum. And the alum said, you have to go to VLS. And I have to tell the students on this call, Fido is graduating this year. Amazing student. Oh, guess what, Anne? This is a great question. Is there an opportunity to talk to a student or alum who has gone through this program so we can pick their brain? It's brand new. This is the first class. So if you take a chance, you can be that person. I mean, do you want to address that, Dee McCormack?
It is our first online hybrid JD program, but as I mentioned earlier, and I'll just emphasize, we've been offering online education forever, right? For more than a decade, we were one of the first schools to do so. We do everything in-house. And so we have been offering full online master's degrees for a long time and online JD classes for a long time as well. What we haven't done is done it all together like we're doing it now, because the ABA hasn't allowed it until recently, when we just got permission from the ABA to do it. And that's why there's so few programs out there, because the ABA really wants to make sure that those that offer this fully online program can deliver to students everything that they need to be successful. But we're not strangers to this at all. And in fact, the experience that we got during the pandemic has also just been really helpful as we've shaped this program and tried to design it in a way that we think will maximize the chances of you being successful in it. And I have to say that the small number I'm really excited about that, because normally residentially in most law schools across the country, your first year civil procedure class has 80 students in it. And we're going to have 20 in this class. And so same material, same amount of class time, but 20 students. And I just, it will be quite a luxury to be able to have that one-on-one student interaction with you. And I really can't wait for that. And I'll add that sometimes you're concerned, some people might be concerned, well, it's not going to be the same. I think we've told you all the ways that it is, but I can tell you from experience that even with an 80-person online class, now that I've met these students in person, I know that I know them. I know that I got to know them online over the last year. And when they're here in person, they're just sometimes they're taller or shorter than I thought, but they're exactly who I thought they were going to be. So the fact that it's through a computer screen has not hampered the ability to form that community that we're really known for.
We offer an accelerated 2-year program, and it usually is between 15 and 20 students, and they become such a cohort and such a tight-knit group, and their friendships we were the first law school to do a 2-year accelerated program, and to see the formation of that community, and it's still strong. This group of students, all of you will become each other's confidants. You'll work together. You'll experience this whole next career as one group. You'll be surprised. And I actually can't wait to meet you all in September for our first residential period. All right. Are there any more questions? Are there any more questions out there? I know the chat is 99 plus. So I don't see anything in the
I did see a student
Q&A.
requesting some literature, and perhaps they can contact the admissions office and we can get our restorative justice professors to get them the right materials.
Certainly.
Looks like it's Miss Alford.
We can certainly do that. Thank you. All right.
Also, Katie, there was a question about when the residential periods are. The first one is if you matriculated in fall of 2022, it'd be September 2022, and then your second summer would be a residential period, and then your final fall, right before you graduate, would be a residential period, and they're going to be awesome.
There is a question about GPA and the admissions process in regards to GPA. Is the undergraduate GPA that's examined or the graduate GPA examined, especially if you've been out of undergrad for 10 years? I'm seeing that a lot in our hybrid application, and I do look at your undergrad, but I also realize that there's a lot happened between undergrad and where you are now. So what I'll do is I'll shift and I'll look at your graduate work, and then I also look at work experience. I really look at what you've been doing these past 10 years, because that's very, very important. And your and like volunteering, and really the whole truly take a holistic approach to the hybrid applicants, because you're a unique bunch. You've been out of school, you've been working, you have life, and you've always wanted a JD, and that way we can balance that. And I will say this. This is an application piece, and this is really important. And Dean McCormack, I would love if you could talk a little bit about this. Personal statement, really important. When you're applying to law school, I'm going to look at your personal statement. Proof it, have someone else proof it, have your grammar friend proof it, have someone who doesn't know you read it. This is an important piece, especially because you've been out of school for a while and maybe you have a lower undergrad GPA. I need to see your writing capabilities. Dean McCormack, can you talk about our legal writing program and how important it is in law school?
Sure. I love talking about our legal writing program because I used to be a litigator in Boston before I turned to academia. And I believed when I started in as a litigator, and I still believe now, that legal writing is among the most important classes you're going to take. And I say that even though I don't teach legal writing anymore. Now I teach civil procedure. And I think being able to express your thoughts clearly in writing is absolutely fundamental to any career in law and policy. You don't have to be a litigator to know that that's an important skill. So we really focus on that here, and you'll get that in our hybrid program. And we also focus quite a bit on advocacy, oral advocacy as well. And this is an important skill too, even if you're not going to be a litigator, because no matter what profession that you're in or how you use your law degree, you're going to be able to need to persuade people with the spoken word as well. And so we teach that skill, and one of your residencies will be actually practicing that skill in front of practitioners and judges right here in Vermont. And I would just add that the personal statement is really an important piece of the application process. I say that from someone that's been on the admissions committee for many years. And really be careful to get all those little things right, the punctuation, the grammar, the typos, the name of the school, right? We get a lot of applications, Katie, don't we, that say University of Vermont Law School, and that's not us, right? And it's not a big mistake. It's not a high crime to make that mistake, but we're really looking for students who have that attention to detail. So really be careful about that, and try to make it specific to why you're interested in our school and our program, and specific to who you are, and what's led you on this journey. That would be my sort of best high level advice for the personal statement.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, we can pop our emails in the chat, but I really want to thank Professor Sala and Dean McCormack, and I'm so excited for this program, and I can't wait for next year. Oh, I've had a successful higher education. Oh, if you've had a successful higher education career, you should come do this program. This would be an ideal program with someone from a higher ed background.
Katie,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that same person who put that in there about the higher ed background, I just want to emphasize, just because you go to law school, for those of you out who are kind of new and just starting to poke around, you do not have to be a litigator just because you went to law school. General counsel is great work. I actually started out, like I said, as a prosecutor. I enjoyed the courtroom. I actually didn't think I would like being general counsel, and it turned out I loved it. when I transitioned over, and I stuck with it for a long time after that. So I actually never went back to the courtroom. But so if you're interested in immigration law, if you're interested in education law, you don't have to litigate to be in those fields. There are other ways to use your Juris Doctor.
That's the great thing about Vermont Law School is our career services. Everyone at Vermont Law has a different path that they want to do. So our career counselors really look at you individually, and all of you are going to be from your home states. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? How do you want to use the degree? So it's a great, we're skilled at that. We've been doing that since our first graduating class was 1976. No, 76. Dean McCormack, 1976.
I think it's 76. Yes, I think it is. I should know that. I'll check right now.
Yeah, and so everybody comes from everywhere, and then they practice across the country everywhere, and they go to law firms, government, nonprofit, higher ed institutions. So it's a great opportunity to do anything you want. All right, so I think with that, I thank you all. I thank you, Professor Sala. Enjoy your baseball game. I don't know what inning it is. And Dean McCormack, I'm hoping maybe it's not necessarily the Yankees win. We love sports at Vermont Law. It's one thing that we all banter about our sports team because everybody comes from everywhere. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Shirley. Shirley Crawford, is there anything that you would like to say?
I just saw it come up and I just typed it in the chat that the priority deadline for applications for the online hybrid JD program is May 15th. And the regular deadline is June 15th, if you're interested. So there's still more time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah. And thanks, Genevieve, for running the chat. Sorry, I didn't introduce you. You weren't on camera. So I'm sorry I missed you. Genevieve's in admissions. So, all right. Have a good evening, all.